Hello everyone. Today I will talk about central tendency of data. It is one of the very important characteristic, and central tendency is a quality of a data set to cluster around some value. This value is known as central value. So this is one number represents entire data. Statistically this is also known as average. It gives us an idea about the concentration of the values in the central part of the distribution. Suppose we have a sample of 300 women for teaching awareness about cancer screening. Now we want to represent age of our sample, that is one number that can represent age of these 300 women. This number is nothing but central value. Suppose this number is 55 years. So we can interpret this value as almost all the women in our sample cluster around age of 55 years. That means on an average every woman in our sample aged 55 years. The next question which can came into your mind is, why is central tendency important? Okay, so it tells us the average for a set of data. This average is representative value which is useful when we are working with large amount of data. Central tendency also allows us to compare one data set to the another data set. To understand this, consider we have recorded age of class and want to get idea about average age of boys and girls. In this case, we can easily compare average age of boys with average age of girls. Central tendency is also useful when we want to compare one piece of data to the entire data set. Okay, so let's say you scored 80 marks out of 100 in a particular examination. Also, suppose average exam score for that exam is 60. By comparing your score with average score, you can get an idea that your score is higher than that of average score of your classmates. To summarize, we can say your score is or your performance is above average. So these are some of the ways to use There are various measures to represent central tendency of data. Here we will discuss three most frequently used measures of central tendency. So these are mean, median and mode. Choice of measure of central tendency depend upon type and distribution of data. So in today's video we will be focusing on mean. Arithmetic mean is the typical average. It is also known as mean. It is most commonly used measure of central tendency. It serves as a balance point. It is most important value when data is scattered without a typical pattern. We can compute arithmetic mean by using this simple formula, which is mean is equal to sum of all observations divided by total number of observations. Mathematically it is denoted by x bar. So x bar is equal to summation fx by n. Here summation fx is nothing but sum of all observations. This is just another way to represent sum of all observations. F is frequency and x is. As an example, consider this data set where we have wages of 12 laborers in urban area of India in the year 2010. On the basis of the sample, we found mean age of 910 INR. So how we get it? By simply adding the wages of all 12 laborers divided by the number 12. So this mean value portrays that average age of laborers residing in urban part of India was 910 Indian rupees in the year 2010. It is also important to talk about merit and limitations of mean. First merit of mean is it's unique. How is it unique? Because it is based upon all observations and we get only one number for one data set. So it's unique. And yes, it is easy to calculate and understand. Its third merit is if we multiply all the values by a constant, the mean is also multiplied by the same constant. To understand this point, consider previous example of wages. In addition, if we know that wages in current year is 3 times as compared to year 2010, then we do not require the entire data entry computation. We can simply multiply 3 in average of 2010 and get average wages in the current year. So here it will be 910 multiplied by 3. So that will be. Similarly, next merit of mean is if a constant is summed to each value, the mean is summed in that constant also. Again, suppose in the previous example of wages, which in a year 2015 is increased by 500 rupees. Then again we can perform simple mathematical procedure, that is we can add rupees 500 in average of 2000 and get new average, that will be 910 plus 500, so 410 rupees, 1400. The next merit of mean is it is least affected by sampling fluctuations. Least affected by sampling fluctuation means that out of same target population, if we take many samples of different or same sample size, we will get almost same mean value. So here we have a population of size 1000 and we took 5 samples, and out of all these 5 samples we get almost same mean of 910 INR. So this is how mean is least affected by sample. Value of 16.42. This value is also far away from all the data points. This is far away from 1, 2, 3, 4 as well as 100. So how it can be one central value represents the entire data. That is why in case of extreme values, mean is not ideal measure. So we should not use mean in case of extreme values or outliers. Next question is which measure we should use in case of extreme values. Answer of this question is median. I will discuss in detail about median and outliers in my. Another demerit of mean is that it cannot be calculated in case of open-ended intervals. What is open-ended? Open-ended means that when one boundary of interval is not defined. For example, in case of less than 20 years, upper bound is 20, but we don't know about the lower bound. Similarly, in case of more than 65 years, here we know the lower bound but not the upper one. So this is open-ended interval. Because mean is based upon all observations, we cannot add up all the observations in case of open-ended intervals. This can happen when we don't have primary data or data collected in such a way that open intervals are there. Next limitation of mean is that we can compute mean only. Now we will learn how to compute mean in Microsoft Excel. So we will consider the same data set of wages of 12 workers. We have to compute mean for these 12 wages. So for that what we should know is sum of all observations and total number of observations. So how we can compute sum of all observations? Is we can use is equal to sum, and we can select the range from here, close the bracket and enter. We get the sum of all observations, and because it's a very small data set, we can easily count the number of observations, which are 12 here. But suppose if we have big data, so what we can do is we can use count is equal to count, and then again we select the range. Okay, so this gives us number of observations in the selected range. So here it is 12. So mean is what? Mean is sum of all observations divided by total number of observations. So here it is E3 divided by E4. Mean is 910. So we can calculate mean by just one step calculation. We can simply write is equal to sum select the range, close the bracket, divided by count. So we can write count here itself and again select the range, close the bracket, enter. Okay, so you can see we get the same value because the formula is same. In the first example, we use to calculate numerator and denominator separately, and then we divide it and get the mean. In the second way, we use the formula in one line only. The next way we can calculate mean in Excel is we can directly use the function which is average. So we can select average and we select the range. Okay, so we get the same mean value. Now we have same data of wedges in grouped form. So we have numbers against which we have frequencies, and we have to calculate mean. So how we can calculate mean in this situation? We can use the formula summation fx by n. Right, so this is the formula we are going to use. For calculating summation fx, first we have to calculate fx. So this is equal to f multiplied by x, enter. So we can drag this formula in this way and we can calculate sum here. I already mentioned here total. So total is sum. So I can use is equal to sum okay, and similarly we can count total number of observations by using sum here, summation of frequencies. Okay, so mean will be sum of all observations, summation fx divided by total number of observations. Okay, so this is 910. Okay, so because the data is same, only the way of representation is different, we are getting the same mean, 910, 910. Now one question which might click into your mind is when to use this formula of summation fx by n in real world. So guys, consider you are doing a systematic review and one of the article has not reported average value but represent data in frequency table. So you can compute mean using this formula for group data and record the average value in your Excel. Or many times data is given in this form where we have intervals and frequency against each interval. So how we can compute mean in this case is we can take the average of lower and upper limit for each interval. Okay, so how we get 650? We get 650 by taking the average of 500 and 800. Here in formula bar you can see this is equal to 500 plus 800 divided by 2. Okay, so the answer is 650. Similarly, we take average of 800 and 1100. This will be 950 and so on. So now this midpoint will be the x value and we know the f value. Now we will again use the same formula, summation fx by n. So first we calculate fx, then sum it here. This is 11700, okay, divided by 12. So the mean value by using this formula is 975. Now you look at the value of mean, this is 975, while when we are doing the calculation on raw data it was 910. Why this difference observed? Because here we are losing the information. Because of grouping we lost some information. That's why the mean is little bit different. So whenever possible use the raw data for calculation.